Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of 1 Thessalonians
with Kurt Bjorklund.
1 Thessalonians 5 talks about destruction and how this is certain and how people will not escape. And for some people, this is one of the harder ways to think about God, because there is a sense that God's nature does not allow him to destroy. But there is something when we think about this that's really significant, and that is that we understand that the God of the Bible is interested in justice, and that disobedient, disbelieving people who don't give God honor with their lives, who don't believe in Jesus Christ, are destined for destruction. And that there is a time that we're living in which there is certainly a window of time for people to turn to Jesus Christ and be delivered from the coming destruction. But that destruction is indeed coming. I recently ended up rewatching the old movie, The Titanic, and it was an interesting watch. If you've seen the movie, it's old enough now, I feel justified in any spoilers. But the idea is that this boat hit this iceberg, and it is going to hit a point where it cannot be saved. It will sink. And there's a couple people who get it, but the vast majority of people, even as they're getting on the lifeboats, don't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. They are living in peace and safety and with a sense of, well, this is just what it is. And the message that seems to be here in 1 Thessalonians 5, and certainly seems to oppose the way of thinking that says the world will just go on and on and on, is that there is a certain day coming when this earth and everything on it who is not on the lifeboat of Jesus Christ will experience destruction. And there are few people who seem to be aware and cognizant of that great truth. In fact, this is what he says: "For you are all children of the light, children of the day. We are not of the night or of the darkness. So let us not sleep as others do, but let us keep awake and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love and a helmet for the hope of salvation." I'll come back to those images in a coming day. But this idea of sobriety is the idea of pay attention. Be awake, basically. This is saying don't mitigate what is at stake or what is going on around you with some kind of an explanation. Instead, be fully aware and live in light of this. If you were on the Titanic and you knew that boat was sinking, you would behave very differently than if you just thought they were going through some kind of a drill. And again, there are those who look at this passage and argue with what seems to be the clear implication. And I'll address this tomorrow, but it's a way to understand the world of saying God will judge. Now, what's different on the Titanic is people just got a ticket to get on it. In spiritual language, everybody is dead in their trespasses and sins, and God makes you alive. He's the one who wakes you up and has you see and then say, you can live your life here and now, knowing the end and living with a sobriety that is life-giving and hopeful, even if it's sad to know that there are people around you who will be faced with some kind of destruction because they haven't believed. Now, what we don't know from the New Testament is the scope of God's saving versus God's destruction. Often people who think of this see it as being very narrow, God's salvation, and very broad, his destruction. And as I said, I don't know that the New Testament tells us. I mean, it does say many are called, few are chosen. There are a few references that seem to indicate it's not huge, but my point is, it's not as if there are only 5 people on a boat of 5,000 who are somehow rescued, and there is no shortage of opportunity for anybody who believes to be rescued. Maybe it's a place that you need to just say, I believe Jesus Christ is my Savior. I will trust him. Maybe it's time to have that conversation with a family member or a friend who means well and doesn't have any idea where they're headed. And my only question for you would just be to say, if you really believe what this passage seems to teach, would it be loving to not have a conversation with one of your family members, one of your friends who is on the boat headed to destruction, and you are simply acting as if everything is fine? That would not be loving. The loving thing to do would be to say, you may not believe me, but understand this boat is going to go down, and it is time for you to take that seriously.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.